Hi guys, Kim here. Welcome to Backyard Blooms. If you followed my last video on the garden tour of 2023, we have lots of new plants that I planted up here in this garden, and I said in that video that I was going to talk about my drip system. So I have not covered this drip up on purpose just so that I can show you how I place my drip and why I place my drip, and then I'm going to go over some parts and pieces with you, and I'm going to tell you 8 advantages of having drip and then a few disadvantages of having drip as well. So let's talk about the advantages first. Reason number 1, it prevents fungus. So by preventing constant water onto your foliage, you're going to have better foliage and you're going to prevent disease. Reason number 2 is that you prevent labor and you're not constantly watering by hand. Reason number 3, it saves you money and it's more efficient. So if you water by sprinkler, you probably have an efficiency of 67 to 70% efficient. And if you're watering by drip, your efficiency by watering is 90%. Reason number 4, it prevents runoff and evaporation. So when you prevent evaporation, it saves you more money in water. Here in Charlotte, North Carolina, Zone 8, I have clay soil, as you have seen when I constantly dig with my power planter auger all the time. So another advantage is that it has a slow drip. So because I do have clay soil and I'm trying to amend the soil slowly, but however, I'm on a hill and this is going to slowly drip and I will not have as much runoff as I would watering with by hand or a sprinkler. Reason number 5, it prevents weeds. So you can see that I have my drip system running right along here next to the plants. So that means like I'm not getting water up here where I don't have plants. So that is going to prevent weeds because I'm not watering my weeds. Reason number 6 is that you have healthier foliage. Reason number 7 is that it helps soil erosion. Reason number 8, it helps reduce nutrient runoff. So now that we have all 8 advantages, let's talk about a few disadvantages. So number 1 disadvantage is that we do have some hard water and sometimes these little emitters will get clogged up. So that's one disadvantage of having this drip system. Disadvantage number 2 is that it does require some setup. After you're initially set up, I 100% believe that it's been worth it for me. I work full time. I do not have time to come home and water these plants after I get home. And I've already told you all 8 advantages of having drip versus hand watering or using a sprinkler system as well. Disadvantage number 3 is that you do have to make sure it is working properly. So you do have to keep an eye on it and check on it from time to time. If your plants are out here and they're wilting in the hot sun, then you know that there's some reason why your drip is not working. One of the number 1 reasons that my drip may not be working for me is that the batteries ran out of my timers. So now that I hopefully got you excited about drip and all the 8 advantages of having drip, let's go over the drip that I have on this west side garden. This garden right here is brand new and I just did a little tour of all the plants that I have in it. So make sure you watch that video. I'll put it in the link of my description. So just go to description and hit more and you'll see that link. I also have other videos that describe each and every part in detail of this drip system, so that may be another advantage for you to watch. So I already had drip running to the very front of the flower bed. Let's swing over here. So originally I had drip to this tree and drip to this rose right here. And the only other thing that I had in this garden the beginning of the year was this other Limelight Standard hydrangea tree. So I had drip running to that as well. So let's go to the spigot, which is where you turn your water on the side of your house. So this is your spigot. This is a manifold. So I opted for 4-way manifold so I can have more options of what I wanted to do. So for me, let me come over here. This one right here waters my drip to the back of the house, my cottage garden. And then this one right here runs to my retractable reel down there. So I have access to water on the side garden and in the back. This one right here is my timer. This runs to the front of the garden and now feeds the side garden as well. And this one right here is my timer that comes on when the sun comes on, and that feeds my lawn in the morning time. So I have a 4-way manifold and I have 4 options that I could use. They also come in a 2-way manifold if you choose and only don't have as much to water. Yes, I do constantly battle some small drips. We try to prevent that, but it's just really, really hard to prevent no dripping at all. So you got your spigot, your manifold, your timer. I do like Melnor. I feel like that they have lasted me longer, but they do not last forever. So just kind of keep that in mind. You might have to replace them every year or every 2 years. And then after you have your timer, you have a backflow preventer. This helps whenever the water stops, and then sometimes the water kind of kicks back up into this timer. This prevents any debris from backing up into your system. So backflow preventer, and this is a PSI regulator. So this one will regulate your drip. And then this one right here is just another preventer, but the reason why I liked it is that it gets this whole piece kind of away from the wall of the house. You can take this piece out right here if you like and just connect this to up here, but I like this piece right here, and it's another prevention to not leak water. Now this has a cap on the very end of it, so make sure this cap is tight. If it's leaking here, then make sure you tighten this cap. And then this is the connector. This is my 1/2-inch tubing. This does not do any kind of drip. It does not have emitters. It's just a regular 1/2-inch black tubing, and we'll go over that again. So this tubing right here runs all along the house. I have it buried so I don't see it. So you can't see it until I get over here where I connected it. And then after I do this video, we're going to go back and completely cover all this up with our mulch. So right here you can see where my tubing picks back up, that's covered by the mulch, and that's my black tubing. The black tubing carries on over to the very front of the garden that way. This is where I connected into it. So I have a 3-way connector, and that's all I did was cut this tubing and connected it there, connected it here, and then I connected my drip tubing right here. This is the drip tubing that has emitters. So this is an emitter right here. It has copper in here, which helps it prevent from erosion, but that's where it's going to drip from. And it's got one on both sides, one here and one on the other side. And they're every 12 inches spaced. So when I design and place my drip tubing, I want this drip tubing to be close to the plant, and I'm going to use gravity of this hill, which you can see I'm on a hill, to my advantage. You don't want to put the tubing here because then it's just going to drain away. So I want to drip up here. So I've got drip to this plant. Then I'm going to have drip to this other plant because it will run down the hill slowly and water these plants as well. Now if I have another plant that needs more water, I'm going to show you how I can tap off to this 1/2-inch drip tubing and connect it to a 1/4 inch tubing and give a plant some more water. So we're going to talk about that as well. But let me pan here. I hope you can see. Let me just move my way down. Can you see that I have 1, 2, 3 sets of drip there in this space. Now this garden is about 70 something feet long and about 11 feet wide. So it comes in 100 feet when you buy it. And then you just have landscape staples that you just hold this down in place. So you may need a little bit of help just getting the tubing all spread out, because it does come in a rolled up pattern, and then you got to get it straight, and then every so often just put landscape staples down, just like this. So 1, 2, and 3. This is the end of the flower bed. You can see that this is where my black tubing runs to the back garden, and this feeds all of this side garden and part of my English garden as well. There's the tubing right there that runs to the cottage garden, and you can see my two-way manifold there. Pardon my dirt. Let me swing back around to the west side garden. So these roses like to have a lot of water, so I have drip right up next to that one. I feel like it's been pretty happy. I don't think I have to add any additional water to this one. This one's looking happy. Russian sage doesn't like a lot of water, so I've got that kind of away from the drip. If you have a plant that doesn't like a lot of water, you can just cut that section out and add the black tubing. There's my rose that I need to ask David Austin to replace. These bubblegum super petunias love water, so they're going to get lots of water, and I have it running. You can see where I already hid this with mulch. So I need to come back and just completely cover all of this, because that helps with evaporation as well. So you can see that I have the Lilac Crush Hardy Hibiscus right here. They love lots of water. I'll show you the one in my very front. So I'm going to give this plant a little bit more water, and I'm going to show you how, with 2 different ways, how you can give this plant more water by connecting into this drip up here. So let me get all my supplies, and I'm going to put the camera down and show you close up how I do that. Okay, this is one way that you can do it too. So you're going to get your tubing, and you cannot, this is where the emitter is. You have to go in between an emitter. So I'm going to come down where there's no emitter, and this is my hole puncher right there. This will punch a hole in it. So I'm going to punch a hole like that. You'll hear it pop, and then I'm going to pull it out. This right here is a 2-way coupler, and this is going to connect to my 1/4 inch tubing. This is a 1/2 inch, and I'm going to connect it to a 1/4 inch. So you just take this, it doesn't matter which end, and then you put it in here until you hear it pop. Did you hear it pop? So now I'm going to connect my 1/4 inch tubing to here. So you can do it 2 ways. You can use the 1/4 inch drip tubing, or you can use the 1/4 inch just regular tubing. You can see it right there, and have an emitter on the very end of it. So I'm going to show you both ways. So I'm going to connect this just regular black tubing, it doesn't drip, to this. So wiggle it in there and make sure it's tight. Now, if I want to water this plant right here, and I want to put the drip right on my plant, So I'm going to take the tubing, make it long enough to where it's going to be right here, cut it. This is my focal pruners. Love them. I have that description in the below. And now I have another emitter. And they come in different gallons where they drip per hour. I think this is a half gallon. So this is where it's going to drip from, and this is where it's going to connect. So I'm just going to connect the 1/4 inch tubing to this emitter. This at the very end of the tip will emit water. Just wiggle it on, and then you'll have water right directly to this plant. Do you see that right there? And at the very end, I'll turn the drip on just to show you how it drips. So that is one way that you can add more water to another plant. Okay, the second way that you can add more water to a plant is by using this 1/4 inch copper tubing as well. So I'm gonna make sure this is where my emitter is. You can see it's bulky. You cannot punch a hole in that. So I need to punch a hole into my 1/2 inch drip and connect it to this 1/4 inch drip. So this is my emitter. You cannot punch a hole in that. This is my hole puncher. So we're going to make a hole right here away from the emitter, and you'll hear it pop, and just pull it right back out. You can see a little bit of water dripping there from where I had it before. We're going to take another 2-way coupler and insert that in there until you hear it pop. Then on the other end, instead of using the black tubing, we're going to use this 1/4 inch copper tubing. It has really small emitters every 12 inches as well. So we're just going to wiggle that onto this. Until it's tight and secure. Now, I like to use about 5 emitters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to cut my tubing after the 5th one. Now you have two options. You can use the 5 emitters just to water this plant and put a stopper on the end of the tubing, like so. Add an emitter on the very end, but you have to add something. If not, water will just run out of this, and you will lose some of your PSI resistance. So I feel like this is going to be enough because I have this as well. So I'm going to put a stopper at the very end. Well, I just lost that one. This tubing is a little bit harder. You have to use a little bit of muscle to get it on. And then I'm going to bury this down this way around the plant. And then I'm going to go get a staple, which I have staples right here. These are the landscape staples that I used. All these links are in the description. And then once I get all my drip secure, and then I can cover it back up with mulch. Covering it up helps with the erosion. Remember, I just told you. We'll cover it up like so. Now this plant right here is going to get additional water. All right, so let's test this out. So this is the timer, and it is going to start, it's already came on for today, so it's going to start tomorrow. So I have, if you like, this is the menu. If I have it on auto, if I click this menu right here, now it's off, and then it just goes around the clock right here. So my set clock comes on at 9:56 in the morning. My water, no, I'm sorry. This is what time it is right now currently. So the time it is right now, and then when I do start water, if I hit the menu button again, my start water is going to be at 6:30 in the morning, and then the next one's how long. So right now I'm just running it for 10 minutes. And then how often? I'm running it twice a day. So right now it's not quite hot in the 90s, so I don't have to give it as much as I would in the summertime. And then I turn it back on auto. But I want to see how this is dripping so I can show you. So I'm going to turn this on manual right here. And I don't want to run it for 50 minutes, obviously, so let's back this way down. So we're going to run this drip for 6 minutes. So did you hear that? Or it just kicked on and now it's watering. So you can actually feel the water go through here as well. So you can see right here, this is the 1/4 inch tubing. I have a good steady stream of water, which I think that's gonna be too much. So I'm gonna change this one out. But it just gives you a good idea how much more water this plant's getting right there. And they also have some stakes that you could stake it up as well. But I feel like that's gonna be too much. Really not happy with that. So I'm gonna change this one out. Now coming over here to, that was example 1. And example 2 is where it just drips out of these emitters right here. I don't really see it dripping out just yet. Probably has to make its way over here. But you can see right here where it's dripping. So that real slow drip right there. Oh, there it starts. You can see where it's dripping just really slow. All right, so the drip is all covered up now, so you can't see any of the drip tubing. So it looks much nicer. I do need to address some of the Bermuda right there. I'm just gonna put grass out on that right there to help try to kill that, because we did have a little bit of compost and everything that we put over top this bed. We didn't completely get all the roots out, which was probably a good idea, but this is what it looks like with the drip all covered up. If you're wondering what this flag is for that's running up the side of the garden, that is where my internet is running, so I kept those flags up so I won't dig or aug into that and disconnect our cable, because you know, life without cable or internet kind of sucks, and I can't do my YouTube with it also. But anyways, this is what it looks like. With it all covered up. If you're wondering why this is mounded up right there, it's because the dirt, when you're planting on a hill, one side is not into the ground as much as the other one, and you want it to drain really well, so you want to bring your plants up 1 to 1.5 inch above the ground level and mound the dirt up. So that's why you see it mounded under each plant, especially the butterfly bushes. They are finicky. If you go on to the Proven Winner website and read like how to plant these, like, oh my gosh, they don't like fertilizer, they don't like mulch right up against them, they like to drain well, they want to be 2 inches above. So yeah, so I hope I have really good luck with them because I invested a good amount of money into these butterfly bushes. Whew. So now that I got all of that drip covered up, I'm a sweat mama right now, but this is my little demonstration, and I did this in my last video and I kept it, and I think it's pretty effective to showing you like how you can add this drip. Once you get it into the ground, it's really hard to show drip once it's covered. That's why I waited on this west side garden to be able to demonstrate that for you. So I have a couple other videos that I went in detail, but it had music to it, and some people complained about the music. So whether you can like use that and use it as an addition to this to learn how to put in drip, or just kind of ignore the music. I don't feel like it's loud, but you know, I have a different variety of people that watch my videos and sometimes it annoys them. But anyways, this is a 1/2 inch drip tubing. It has the emitters in it right there. There's the emitters. This right here is not drip tubing, but it's a 1/2 inch tubing right there. So this, I say, carries you from A to B, so maybe from the faucet over to wherever you need drip. If you don't need drip, then you put down this 1/2 black tubing. If you need drip, you put down this 1/2 drip tubing. I sometimes call this my copper tubing because it's got copper emitters. That's why I call it copper tubing. This is a coupler that connects one piece to the other. You see right there? This is a 2-way coupler. They have 3-way couplers, and they also have a 90-degree angle coupler as well. This connects your 1/2 to 1/2. And then, of course, on the very end, you want to be able to connect to the faucet. So this is where you connect it to the faucet. It is called a 1/2 inch poly faucet fitting. Right there. And that's what it looks like on the very end. So it just screws on, and it does need a washer. It does not have a washer in there. So make sure you got good washers. I replace mine every year. And so you just screw that on, and then from the black tubing right here, you just wiggle it in really good and then tighten it up with this piece right here. So that is all that. Now, if you do not want drip to something and you want to take it out, say if I want to take this piece out right here and I don't want it to the plant anymore, you just take a stopper, which is this right here, and plug up the hole. It's also called goof stops. You goof up, you can plug it up, because if you don't, it's going to leak out and you're going to lose your PSI resistance as well. So over on the hardy hibiscus, I showed you how to put in the 1/4 black tubing, and then we had an emitter on it, which is too much, so I had to go back and change it. But anyways, you use your 2-way coupler. So I used that little punch hole like you saw me in the video and punched a hole with it right there. That's my hole puncher right there. You just punch a hole until it clicks, and then you take your 2-way coupler, which looks like this in the package. I don't know how many there is, 15 2-way couplers in there. And this is where you connect to your 1/4 tubing. There's the package right there. All these parts and pieces, which I say you're just putting a puzzle together, are in my link. You can order all these off Amazon, or if you have a Lowe's that carries it, you can also go to a Lowe's. Now, I went to Kentucky and tried to find some in their Lowe's, and they did not have it. So not all Lowe's carry it, but they do have it online, but it's really hard to like know which parts and pieces that you need. So I made it really easy for you. So you can go into the link in the description, and I'll put it at the very the very top part of the video, and you could see all those parts and pieces, and you could just click on and order them from Amazon and have them delivered to you. All right, so, and then here is where I even showed where you do the two-way coupler from the 1/4 black tubing to the drip. You see that right there? And then you have to put something on the end, and I have an end cap on that one. Now, this is what I already showed you. I connected the 1/4 black tubing, and I put an emitter on this one, which for me, it was too much on that one plant, so I had to change it out. So they have different gallons. They have like a 1 gallon, a 1/2 gallon, 1/4 gallon emitters that you could put onto a plant. And then at the very end of your tubing, you always have to have an end cap. So the same way, it just wiggles on, and you tighten this right here, and then make sure this end cap is tight, because this cap does come off. See? Like this. So you want to make sure this is tight and you don't have any leaks at the very end. If you don't put an end cap, it just runs straight out, and you're not going to have water to anything else, because you lose your resistance in the drip. So there you go. There's my display that I made myself. And then just to show you some, this is what the copper 1/4 inch tubing comes in and looks like. This is what the vinyl 1/4 tubing comes in and looks like. I believe this is 30 foot. 30 foot, I'm not sure about that. I'm gonna say that's probably 30 foot as well. Of course, the drip tubing is always gonna be more expensive than the black tubing. And you need landscape staples to hold it all down. And that's what that looks like right there. I always have scissors or my Felco pruners that I love to use. I use these on everything. This is how I connected and cut into the 1/2 black tubing and connected the copper tubing over there where I showed you in the video earlier. So this is a 3-way coupler. It says 1/2 inch poly T fitting. That's what it says there. And you can also get it in a 90-degree angle. This is called a 1/2 inch poly elbow fitting. I don't use these as much as I do the other ones. And this is what a 2-way coupler looks like as well, where you connect either, say I run out of at the very end of my copper tubing, which is the drip tubing, and I need to add more drip tubing. This is how you do that. Or say you cut into your tubing by accident when you're planting with a shovel, which I've done that before. So anyways, you can cut it and then connect it with this where you cut at and reconnect. This is an example of the hole puncher that it comes in right there. And then it comes with the goof plugs if you goof up. This is a backflow preventer valve. When I was showing you at the faucet, at the spigot, you gotta have one of these. This is your drip regulator. It's a 25 PSI. The 50 is for the micro sprayer. So we don't want micro sprayer, we want the drip. You see where it says drippers right there? And this is your faucet filter for micro sprays and drippers. So I guess you can use this for both. It's got a 150 mesh screen to help clear debris from your water. There is what that looks like. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope that I gave my story the way that you can understand and be able to put this drip down yourself. There's lots of videos out there. I have one that I went and did earlier in my YouTube career, which wasn't even a year ago, but my videos are a little bit better now, so I hope this was better understandable, even though I got good reviews on that one as well, but it was just early on into my career. So I'll link that into the description So watch that one as well. And then across the street, Amy and Jerry, I helped do their front yard landscaping. So there's some great plant ideas for your front yard landscaping that we went to Creekside Nursery and picked all the plants and designed that. So that'll give you some ideas. And then we put drip in there as well. And then I went over every little thing. So you could see me put in the drip, put in the landscape staples, but that is at the very end of that video. So I hope this video was helpful for you. I hope this gives you some inspiration if you struggle keeping plants alive, especially in the hot and heat humidity that we have here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Like, I cannot live without this. So I love my drip system. It does require some initial setup to put it in, but after that, like, I really haven't had that many issues with it. You just have to kind of keep an eye on everything, which I do anyways. Like, I'll always take a look at my plants at least once a week, and either I'm like deadheading or fertilizing, or just make sure that they're happy, like they don't have black spot fungus or whatever, and just treat it right away. So I hope this video was helpful again, and I hope it gave you some inspiration, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.